may have heard several complex suggestions on how to manage savings and investments. Things like the 15-20-65 rule, the 20-30 and 50 rule, and so on. But does savings and achieving financial freedom and at the same time investing in your growth needs to be so complex? Hi, I'm Afan, a former investment analyst and a growth advisor. In this video, I'm going to talk about the simple formula that I use to achieve financial freedom. It is as simple as 1, 2, 3, 4. 10%, 20%, 30%, and 40%, 4 buckets. So what are these 4 buckets? Let's go deeper in reverse chronological order. First, 40%. This is your monthly living expenses. Things like rent, groceries, utility bills, all go in here. This is what I call your subsistence bucket. Always think before spending more. If you are single or a young couple, think before upgrading to a new, bigger house. If you don't need more space, then you are better off not putting in more money in rental expenses. Next, 30%. This is your savings and investments bucket. Let's hold off onto this one for now because we will go into much more detail in this bucket later. Moving on to 20%. This is your health and well-being bucket. This is probably the most important expense category among the 4 buckets. This is what goes into keeping yourself in good shape, both physically and mentally. Physically, such as a gym membership. Mentally, such as by giving yourself a well-deserved break in the form of a vacation. Remember, part of these expenses should also go into building the knowledge base for yourself. Knowledge is the best form of investment. It only helps you grow and nobody can take it away from you. Investing part of the money from this bucket into a new skill learning subscription would go a long way. I want to quote an example here which I recently came about. The story goes like this. There were 2 woodcutters. Both of them would wake up around the same time in the morning and go to the forest to chop wood. And both of them would keep chopping until the evening and come back around the same time. The first woodcutter would start in the morning and keep chopping until the evening. The second one would always vanish for about an hour in the afternoon, would come back and start chopping again, and end up chopping a lot more wood than the first one. One day, the first one asked the second one, "Hey, how come you take a break every day, which means I work more than you? Despite that, you end up having more wood at the end of the day." And the second one replied, "Well, in the afternoon, I take a break, I go back home and I sharpen my axe. I come back and this sharpened axe helps me chop wood faster." So this is what I'm talking about. All of us need to sharpen our axe. And this sharpening would happen by giving ourselves a well-deserved break to recharge our batteries or by investing in gaining additional knowledge that would help us grow. Lastly, 10%. This is your leisure spending bucket. These are the funds that you use to buy yourself a nice gift to reward yourself for all the hard work that you've been doing and to keep yourself motivated for continuing to do that hard work. Should you spend this money immediately or accumulate it over the next 3 to 6 months to buy yourself something nicer? It's completely up to you. Personally, I prefer the latter, to accumulate these funds and buy something more meaningful for myself that holds more value. In other words, I try to convert this spending also into a form of investment. But that's a topic for another discussion. My only suggestion here is do not spend on something that is incremental to what you already have, and furthermore, something that will lose value over time. For example, if you already have an iPhone 15, perhaps spending on an iPhone 16 or iPhone 17 is not the wisest choice. Now, let's go back to the 30%, which is your savings and investment bucket. This is the base that will help you achieve financial freedom. Remember, it is very important to have first an emergency reserve fund that will allow you complete peace of mind. Now, let's go into how you will use the 30% from your monthly income every month to achieve financial freedom. First 6 months, you should put this in a savings account. This helps to build a 3 to 4 month emergency reserve that is easily accessible. Emergency reserve is linked to your subsistence bucket. In the case of emergencies, such as being out of job, you will probably not be spending on vacations or leisurely gifts. After this 6 month period, the next 12 months, you should allocate your 30% to mutual funds. And you can start by balanced funds, which are not as risky as equity options. This helps you set the base for long term growth. Subsequently, you should allocate a portion to real estate or real estate investment trusts. This helps you diversify because you should not put all eggs in one basket. Real estate also protects against inflation. Now, let's look at an example to see this 30% growth. Assuming average monthly income of $3,000. This means 30% of this 3,000 is going to be $900. Average savings rate offered by banks across the UK, US, and Singapore range from anywhere between 2% to 4%. Let's assume a 3% rate for your savings for the first 6 months to build an emergency reserve. Second, depending on the geography, balanced funds over the last 10 years have shown annual returns of 6 to 10%. Let's assume the midpoint of 8% for our next 12 months of investment. Subsequently, let's assume you put 50% in real estate investment trust and 50% in mutual funds, both generating the same 8% annual return. Now let's look at some results. In 6 months, you have more than $5,000. This is enough to last you for more than 4 months should you not have a job, or this would provide a sufficient cushion in case of any unfortunate health emergency. In 18 months, you have about $17,000. Since this is in a bank plus a mutual fund, it is also relatively liquid investments, meaning you can easily pull out the money without any lengthy waiting period. Also, this is enough to help you put a down payment on a small house or apartment you might be looking to buy. While your mortgage payments might not help you save more funds, moving from rental expenditure to mortgage payments helps you create an asset. Now, in 5 years, you have about $65,000, equivalent to almost 2 years worth of income and nearly 5 years worth of emergency expenses. Note that in this example, we did not consider any salary increments, which would be the case for most of us in reality. If we assume a 5% increment on average per year, then at the end of 5 years, we would have more than $70,000 in our account. And if we give it another 2 years, we will surpass the $100,000 mark. The savings split will also depend on the size of the family. Expenses for a young couple with small children would be very different to one without any children. You might need to switch the 30% savings with 20%, but it is very important to have at least the fifth of your monthly income put in the savings and investment bucket. Remember, the most important thing is to have discipline, have a structured savings and investment plan, and stick to it. You can download the savings and investment growth estimation template from the video description. If you have a topic that you want me to go deeper into, please put it in the comments below. And if you are interested in more videos like these, consider subscribing to my channel.